Okay, first barrel or not comes from James, who submitted the pros in the wild story. He had put a PS in there and said, barrel or not, approaching a pro in the wild. Should I just let them surf or let them know that you are a fan?
I'm going to say a full barrel to approach. And I'm going to say this like levels of fame, right? If you approach Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt or Pamela Anderson or, et cetera, et cetera, like they are just looking for peace and quiet. You don't approach them, right? A pro surfer, the most famous even of pro surfers, Kelly Slater, I'd say a good, to keep on with the math theme, a good 64.3% of the general population has no idea who he is, like would see Kelly cruising around and have zero idea who that dude was. And so I feel if you see a Hobgood, a Gudauskas, a anyone in the water, even a surly, taciturn Christian Fletcher in the water. I guarantee if you paddled up to Christian, I mean, if he's not like in his home zone where everybody knows him, and so but even Christian would be like, yeah, cool. Like, it feels good for him, right? They're not famous enough to have this be annoying, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So I'm going to say full barrel. This, not only did you get to say hi to somebody you appreciate, you made their day. These guys are not mega famous stars. They're, maybe mega famous in our little surf world of 24 people. But that's it. And so, like, you will make them happy. And if they're a dick about that, then you can write them off because if they're thinking they're famous, then they need to be. If you go and say hello to a pro in the wild and they give you attitude back, come straight here and I will deeply shame whoever that pro is so badly for thinking that he was anyone because they're barely above nobody's pro surfers.
Yeah, I there's a polite way to approach a pro in the wild, and there is, a way that might annoy them. And so I think, yeah, acknowledging that you're a fan or that you admire their surfing is the polite way to do it. You don't need to sit next to them and then try to make small talk for the rest of
Yeah,
the
yeah, no, I
session.
mean, because nobody, yeah, who, it was Jerry Seinfeld. I'd listened to 2 seconds of the Bill Maher podcast too. Getting a lot of podcast stories here. Finally discovered podcasting as a medium. Uh, but Jerry Seinfeld was basically to Bill Maher saying, I don't want to talk to you unless we're working. And Bill Maher had his feelings kind of hurt, but it's true, right? Like at this point in all of our lives, nobody wants to go hang out anymore. Like
Right.
if we're working, let's chat. But otherwise, yeah. But so a kind, quick paddle up, loved your thing in whatever, and then
Yeah.
paddle away.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
I agree. I'll co-sign barrel on that. Um, Barrel or not, number two, I'm gonna piggyback off Kuka and Curran. I'm listening to you guys right now about carrying your board with the wax in. So is it barrel or not to carry your board tail facing forward, asking for a friend?
Mm. Yeah, I've experimented with this from time to time. Uh Trying to be nifty and cool. It's not natural, I'll say, to carry tail out. And anything not natural is contrived, and anything contrived is not cool. And so I'm going to say no barrel, even though there's no real reason for it, but it is contrived. That's not the natural way that you pick up and carry a surfboard.
You know what's weird about this one though? While if you're carrying a board the correct way, it's the deck is facing away from you and the bottom is facing against your torso. If you were to carry the board tail forward, you
The
would
deck,
want,
no,
oh, the
no,
deck is still at, or
the deck is still at
the
you.
deck is
It's
still
just,
at you.
it's
Okay,
just
okay.
not, I mean, it's contrived no matter what. There's no natural way to pick up. The natural way is to have that pointy end facing forward,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
How do arrows fly through the air? How does,
Right.
I mean, we could lead to any example. It's just contrived. And so if you can pull that contrived thing off with style, then have at it. But it's a try hard thing to do.
It
So I'm gonna say
is
no barrel.
it is out of sync with evolution somehow.
It is. It
It
doesn't, you would never pick up a board naturally. Nobody, if you stuck 30 surfboards on the grass and had 30 people who had never surfed before pick them up, not one of them would pick it up and carry it tail first.
right. Yeah, I agree. Don't even need to run the experiment. That is
Yep.
fact. Okay, final barrel or nah comes off of the internet this week. Kelly Slater's video with presidential hopeful RFK, barrel or not, voting.
Oh.
Kelly
Just
admits, I don't vote.
I'm gonna go barrel on voting. Oddly, like the dude who digs his heels in and says, "I don't vote like Kelly," even though Kelly, what a, I mean, can we just Kelly bash real quick? What a
It wouldn't be the
fuckhead that
show
dude
without
is.
it.
What a full-on idiot. He's an idiot. Uh, Kelly like gladly pals around and posts on his Instagram like sucking up to Barack Obama, right? And then come back later and say, "Oh, but I don't vote." Like, okay, so then you're just a straight up weirdo, clout chasing sycophant, Kelly Slater. Like, I'm not saying that voting is the greatest thing ever. I'm not even saying that voting changes anything. I'm just saying stinking vote, because then at least like voting has no negative to it. Vote for whoever you want. Vote for whatever you want. I've stinking written my dad in as the write-in candidate for president of the United States before. Uh, but I like was there doing it, and it's not cool. But the people who don't vote and then kind of get off on it, "Oh, I don't vote. It's not my thing." Like, well, okay, screw you then. Like, not screw you because you get no opinion. I get equal opinion as you, even if you vote or not. It's just like arrogantly, like you for some reason think you're cool for doing that. What is cool about that?
Well, Kelly's explanation, which I think is relatable, is that it doesn't make a difference. Like my vote, everybody says your your vote counts. But historically, the state is going to vote a certain way. And if your vote wouldn't affect that statistically, right?
Totally.
So I understand that point, but the reality is within that, maybe it wouldn't matter for the presidential election, but there's plenty of voting throughout the year where it would matter, and it does come down to small numbers of people who made the decision either to vote or to not vote. And so I think exercising the practice is meaningful at a certain level. And then additionally, being engaged in the political landscape and kind of understanding what's going on and who's who is the only way to make any change. If you're just oblivious to all of it, then you're handing over all the responsibility to the corporations who are making, pushing money around to make deals happen.
Yep. And yeah, and I felt Kelly's again, particularly, and the people that I know who don't vote, uh, it has a particular "I'm too cool to vote." I'm thinking you're like, I fully get, I don't go into the voting booth and think, well, here we go. The Prop 84 is going to pass right here or not based on what I scribble on this piece of paper, right? I have no ego in my vote. I just think that's what we do as a country. So do it. And if you want to be cool punk guy and not vote, you're not cool and punk. You're just like, do something else to be cool and punk. I mean, if you don't vote, all cool. Just never let me know you don't vote because I do not care.
Well, the other detail with the Kelly thing is definitely don't let them know if you're Kelly Slater and you don't vote, because he's right. One vote might not make a difference, but you know what? Your vote can influence other people's votes, and collectively they make a difference. And that's especially true if you're a famous person, and especially true if you have millions of followers on Instagram. And so, Kelly, what you can be doing is voting and telling people about what interests you and why you're voting, which I guess is what he was doing with that RFK video, is in fact endorsing RFK. So you know what I mean? Like, but to plant the seed for the masses that it doesn't matter at all, so just don't engage with the process, I think is not the right message to send.
Especially when you're trying to play it off as being cool guy. I just don't vote. I'm kind of cool. Like, nothing's really appealed to my very cool, independent sense of what I think is right. Uh, but also, yeah, surfing is political, as we learned from Lucy Small. So,
We did indeed. Always being educated by Lucy Small, which is
yep.
fun from week to week.